Yusuke is a wannabe edgelord who hates everybody and prefers the virtual world over reality like a certified nerd. One day, he sees his classmates magically disappear and suddenly gets transported into another world filled with monsters. His life takes a turn when he gets the task to complete a quest in 2 weeks with the girls from his class. Soon, he starts growing his nerd harem and doing one quest after another, but before any of this, Yusuke goes to school and sees his popular classmate named Shindu playing tennis. He goes back home and plays games till late night before scrolling on his phone like every other Gen Z. The next day, he sees Shindu talking to another classmate named Hakazaki who is known for being sick most of the time, and he finds it odd that the two are talking to each other. He looks back towards the two girls, but they disappear out of nowhere and his body starts getting pixelated before falling into a lake full of weird creatures. He sees Shindu and Hakazaki, so he gets out of the lake, but then Shindu tells him not to panic. A half-faced guy who introduces himself as the game master suddenly appears behind Yusuke and begins explaining the rules of a certain quest. He reveals that their current quest is to fulfill the village chief's request in 14 days and that a new member will join them after each quest until they reach the final quest with a team of 10 people. He introduces Shindu and Hakazaki as a wizard and a warrior and spins a roulette wheel that will decide Yusuke's class. The girls pray that he gets chosen as the warrior, but the wheel lands on the extremely rare category of the farmer, which disappoints them. The game master disappears and Yusuke asks the girls to explain what's going on, so Shindu explains that she was brought to this new world first. She completed the first quest and managed to return to the original world where the game master instructed her to become friends with Hakazaki, who joined her at the start of the second quest. She reveals that they managed to complete the second quest and the game master instructed them to be alone in a room with Yusuke to initiate the third quest. Yusuke looks around and recalls how Shindu taught him the way to summon his weapons, which are a hoe and a sickle. They notice a shining circle on the ground called a log point, which shows events of the past, so Hakazaki touches the log point and it shows them a past interaction between her and Shindu in which she was crying. A goblin appears, so Yusuke enthusiastically runs toward it thinking that it's his main character moment, but the goblin gives him a reality check by breaking his sickle. He asks Shindu to help and she shows him that she is just a weak wind wizard who can move a little wind at best. Yusuke shifts his hopes to Hakazaki, who appears to be too scared to fight despite being a warrior, and throws her sword at the goblin. Yusuke tries to pick the sword thrown by her, but his hand passes right through and Shindu explains that weapons can only be used by the user they are assigned to. He tries to use his hoe, but it also gets broken and the goblin kills him, but to his surprise, he gets revived after 30 seconds. He rushes at the goblin once again, knowing that he can just revive, and he pierces it with his broken hoe. They manage to defeat the goblin and Shindu reveals that at least one person needs to be alive for the rest to revive, otherwise they die for real. At night, their camp suddenly gets attacked by a giant monster and the girls end up dying, but Yusuke manages to escape with Hakazaki's body, who revives after a while. They realize that Shindu probably won't revive, just like Hakazaki's arm, until they kill the monster because the monster ate her. The two head to the village where they learn that the quest is to defeat the same monster, which is called a troll. Yusuke decides to head out to rank up without Hakazaki, so at least one of them remains alive, and he thinks about how this world is much better than Tokyo. He heads to the forest where he finds another log point which shows Shindu talking about how she wants one of the two Yusukes from their school to join their team, but the scene ends before Shindu reveals which Yusuke she is talking about. He finds a few goblins and starts fighting them while recalling his childhood. He defeats all the goblins and sees that Hakazaki died, so he rushes to the village which has been destroyed by the troll while he was away. Hakazaki does not revive, so he realizes that she was eaten by the troll too, and he finds a log point. He sees that Hakazaki was training because she felt like she was a burden to the other two party members, and Yusuke realizes that he was always only thinking about himself. The log point shows Hakazaki trying to buy time for the villagers to escape before getting eaten by the troll. The troll suddenly appears again, so Yusuke tries his best to run away, but the troll sends him flying. He falls into a stream and rushes toward the forest while dodging the troll, who only jumps in one direction like a frog. Yusuke starts getting tired after a while and sees a goblin, so he throws his broken hoe at it as a final gamble. The goblin dies, so Yusuke's rank reaches 10 and his gamble pays off as time suddenly stops. The game master appears and spins another job wheel as the reward for reaching level 10, due to which Yusuke gets the rare chef class this time. He looks around and sees that his class shows him the insides of the monster, so he uses his knife to slash the troll's stomach as soon as time resumes. Stuff spills out of his stomach, which allows the girls to revive, and Yusuke shows them how to dodge the monster. They try to attack it, but Yusuke's chef knife has a hard time damaging the troll, and he comes up with a plan that he tells Shindu about. He rushes towards the troll and jumps into its previous wound before cutting it from the inside, but he dies again. The troll falls onto his knees and Shindu jumps on top of its head to blow air into the head, which kills the troll. The game master appears again and tells Yusuke that he can ask him any question as a reward for completing the quest, so Yusuke recalls how Shindu learned that someone close to them chose them for this game after the first quest, while Hakazaki learned that the game master was from the future. Yusuke asks what will happen after the 10th quest, so the game master shows him what happened in the future he is from. The party suddenly sees themselves preparing to fight against a dragon that appears in Tokyo. They return to the class they disappeared from and Shindu thanks Yusuke for helping them defeat the troll before telling him to walk Hakazaki home. The two walk back and Yusuke realizes that the city he hates the most could get destroyed if he fails the quest. At night, Hakazaki texts Shindu that Yusuke might have a dark past, so Shindu asks her friend about Yusuke, who was in grade school with him. The girl reveals that he is a mystery because he never talked to anyone, and Shindu starts getting curious about his past. At night, Yusuke goes on a run and thinks about why he was given the task to save the city that he hates so much. He gets a call from the game master who tells him to hit on the girl he's about to tell him, as it will raise their chances of survival by a lot during the next quest, which shocks Yusuke as he has never tried to rizz up a girl. Yusuke reaches a school while following the game master's directions, and he steps inside the girls' restroom where he finds 3 girls recording another girl named Yuka as they are trying to take her clothes off. The game master tells him to hit on Yuka before ending the call, and the bully turns the camera towards Yusuke. He wonders if they have already recorded Yuka commando, so he breaks the phone to destroy whatever she had recorded. He then notices the second girl also filming, so he breaks her phone too before rushing to break the third phone for no reason. The third girl tries to save her phone, but he manages to break it too. The 3 bullies rush out and Yusuke flushes the evidence down the toilet. He leaves the school with Yuka and asks her why she was getting bullied, so she explains that they were getting back at her for talking about them on a stream even though she never mentioned their name. She starts crying like a wuss and Yusuke gets awkward because the single virgin has no idea on how to comfort a crying winner. Yuka heads back home and 2 weeks go by until they all get summoned once again. Yuka goes through the same explanation that Yusuke got and gets a Heat Wizard class, but the game master reveals that their revival time has been increased to 40 seconds now. He also reveals that the quest is to traverse 5% of the map and to deliver the goods to Radadorbo in less than 40 days. Yuka tells the 2 girls about how Yusuke saved her in a girl's restroom, so they view him as a pervert and they split up in pairs of 2 to explore the map. Yuka and Shindu have a girls' talk and Shindu talks about how she will always stop bullying no matter where she sees it, even if it means losing friends. Yuka gets impressed by her words and the whole party gathers again after a while. A giant insect corpse suddenly falls from the sky and a centipede comes out of it. It throws another bug with its tail which attaches to Yusuke's face and kills him. Shindu also gets killed and Yuka loses all her MP before she can even attack, but Yusuke revives again. He uses his chef skills to cut the smaller bug and grabs onto the centipede's blind spot to immobilize it by cutting off all its legs, as his knife is too weak to pierce the rest of the armor. He assists Hakazaki in cutting the centipede in half and killing it, as her sword is the only thing that can damage it. Later at nighttime, Shindu dreams about her past in which she recalls meeting a girl named Sayuri who ended up dying, and she wakes up shocked. Yusuke sees her and recalls how she was crying in a log he saw before, so he asks her about it, but she suddenly asks him to help her. She tells him that she met an older girl during her childhood whom she loved a lot, but the girl ended up committing suicide because she used to be bullied due to her ugly face. She reveals that her father was a local bad guy, so the teachers and some students used to bully her when she reached school, but her friends always protected her. She reveals that she decided to change her life so she does not die like the older girl, but she lost all her strength when she was transferred to this world, and she tells Yusuke that she needs his strength to survive this world because she does not want to die. The next day, they go back to the village that was destroyed by the troll, and a passerby stops after seeing them. Yusuke explains to Yuka that people of this world can instantly recognize players and call them heroes. The passerby reveals that the village was destroyed many years ago, which makes the group realize that time moves faster in this world. The passerby reveals that Radadorbo is on the edge of the continent, which is 30 days away on horseback, and he also reveals that they can win 3 horses in a martial arts tournament being held in a nearby town named Cordonal. The party gets ambushed by a group of bandits and they learn that they cannot harm humans, otherwise their rank will drop, so they decide to run away, but Shindu ends up getting caught. Yusuke suggests that they should focus on completing the quest first, but the girls don't agree, so they choose to split up. Yusuke heads to the tournament while the girls go to save Shindu, but they end up getting caught too. Yusuke manages to reach rank 10 again after defeating several goblins, and he gets the creature wizard class this time. He reaches the tournament and faces off against his first opponent, but dies instantly against a girl knight named Kaval. He asks her to give him the horses. In return, he will help her defeat a group of bandits, so they go to her superior, who agrees to give him 1 horse for his work. Kaval invites Yusuke to train with her as he is a noob with the sword, and she beats him till sunset before telling him to swing 1,000 times every day. At night, Yusuke heads with the knights to the bandit hideout, but the bandits release a berserker and Kaval faces off against it. She gets overpowered, so Yusuke steps in and he recalls a skill which allows him to easily persuade people. He uses the skills to make the berserker believe that he is getting attacked from behind, and he then uses the opening to stab the berserker but still gets killed. Kaval beheads the berserker and they manage to rescue the girls. Kaval then offers to take them to Radadorbo in return for letting her train them with swords. The group agrees to it and they head off to Radadorbo along with Kaval the next day. Hakazaki recalls her past in which she is always singled out and cannot participate with the others in her class. She then vows to find a cure for her mom and her sickness by going into pharmacology, but her parents tell her that such colleges are too expensive for her. She still decides to work hard to get a scholarship, but after entering the virtual world, she realizes that she has become an absolute useless coward who cannot do anything to protect the others. When Kaval's forces rescue her and the girls, she sees that they were very violent towards the guards, and later she keeps thinking about how she has gotten into such a violent world. Yusuk cooks food for everyone, and the next day Kaval trains Yuka first out of all the others. After Yuka, she takes on Hakazaki, but as expected, she turns out to be useful, and even Kaval comments that it will take some time for her to train with a long sword. The group keeps training and traveling, and on the way Yusuk also uses regenerative magic to heal a wound of one of their comrades who was attacked by a goblin. They come across a group of goblins and Yusuk decides to attack it to gain more experience points. The group attacks the goblins and one of the goblins faces Hakazaki as well. She somehow manages to pierce, but she keeps recalling the sticky feeling of piercing the flesh afterwards too. Yusuk barely gains any points, and later Kaval yaps about how she likes the feeling of tearing the living flesh apart. She goes to patrol the area while Yusuk tells his group that Kaval actually used to watch her dad and brother train swordsmanship a lot when she was a child, which inspired her to do the same. Hakazaki reminds herself that she will protect everyone and return to the real world to pursue her dreams. The next day, the group's wagon gets stuck on the way and the boys work hard to remove it from the crack. They then see a group of people getting attacked by monsters at a distance, and Hakazaki decides to help them out, especially since the group has a child with them. The others think that they should continue their journey since they are already too late, but Hakazaki declares that she won't abandon a child. The group then decides to split into two groups in which Hakazaki and Yusuk will take on the monsters and the rest of them can resume their journey. Hakazaki and Yusuk rush towards the wolves like monsters who are too strong for them and try to push them off. They manage to attack them, but the monsters are too strong for them, and as expected one of them kill Hakazaki. Yusuk takes them on, but he gets killed soon as well, and as Hakazaki gets resurrected, she tells herself that she needs to protect everyone. A monster rushes at her and she conjures her long sword at the last second, which stabs the monster and kills it. Yusuk then gets resurrected and Kaval returns in her cart to deal with the remaining monster. Yusuk heals the locals and they tell him that they were actually taking some heretics, including the kid, to Radadorbo to kill them on the king's order. Kaval argues with them that they are going to execute heretics on foreign ground since that specific area does not fall under Kingdom of Diok's authority, and the vice-captain named Camilto tells her that he won't listen to a nobody foreigner. Things start to get heated up, so Shindu breaks them apart and Yusuk discusses with his group that their mission also involves delivering goods to Radabordo. They all discuss whether the humans are goods and whether they should be involved in killing the people or set them free. Finally, they decide to take the captured heretics till Radabordo, after which they will decide what to do with them, and they team up with Diok's military personnels. They all travel together while Yusuk continues to heal the little kid who had gotten injured. They make camp on the way and the group asks the heretics about details on the conflict between them and the kingdom. One of the guys tells them that Kingdom Diok executes all Arderos believers, and he explains that long ago some radicals burned down the statues of the kings, due to which the kingdom decided to ban the religion which worships God Jusis and execute all of its followers. Afterwards, they also ask Camilto why they are taking the heretics all the way to Radabordo to kill them, and he explains that a lot of foreigners come to their nation through Radabordo, due to which they want to kill them there just to make a point. The others ask him whether he really thinks his king is doing a good job, and he explains to them that the king awards all the dead soldiers families, due to which even his own family was saved from homelessness, and that the king looks after his own weak people. Yuka thinks that the king is a bully who is bullying other nations and that he is running a dictatorship, so she starts yapping endlessly against him, which pisses off Camilto. He thinks of attacking her and the others calm both of them down. Kaval continues training the heroes party while Camilto shows the others that they have to cross the mountains, which will take them a week. He also suggests that they can move through an alternate route which is much faster, and the group then drags the carriage towards the alternate route. They enter a huge cave which has a special mechanism, but suddenly Camilto shuts them inside and declares that he cannot tolerate those people who go against his king. The others decide to cross the cave instead, and they come across a trap. Yusuk manages to figure out the trap despite his lack of brain cells, and they drag the carriage towards the other side. Next they start to cross a hallway, but Yusuk gets smashed in by a well and he gets resurrected 8 feet down instead. It turns out that the hallway has moving walls which can crush them, and Hakazaki tries to figure out the movement of walls. She is able to predict the movement of the wall, and Shindu firstly moves through the hall. Once she has crossed, the others follow her and they leave Yusuk behind with some food. They cross the other hallways one by one while Yusuk tries to make footholds to climb up the wall. The group then comes across an arena in which a gargoyle-like monster comes to senses and heads towards them. Yusuk continues to climb up the wall by making holes in it, but he also keeps falling down, due to which he dies and then gets resurrected again. He recalls his past in which he was a new transfer student in his class who couldn't get along with anyone, and there was a trip one day in which no one would include a loser like him in their group. He keeps trying to climb up, but his torch gets shut and he decides to keep climbing in the dark. Soon he makes his way to the top, where he feels like the biggest Chad ever. He then makes his way along the halls in the dark and comes across a log point where he sees a vision of one of Kaval's guards who has died in the way. He then spots the body of the guard and recalls how he spent time with the very same guy throughout his journey. He keeps moving along the hall as he finds his way in the dark, and meanwhile, the girls face the gargoyle who slowly moves towards them. They notice that he has a key stuck on his elbow and Kaval lunges at him to retrieve it. Shindu and Yuka keep trying to deal with some pesky bats, and Shindu tells Kaval that she seems very good with her staff. Shindu reveals that she used to play tennis but she stopped when she lost in the tournament, and Kaval tells her that she should continue playing the match. Just then, Gargoyle stabs Kaval and throws her in the water. It moves towards the others and Shindu steps back in fear, due to which she crushes a bat. Suddenly she gets promoted to level 10, due to which time stops, and she recalls Yusuk's advice telling her to combat the enemy during the time stop period. Her category gets changed to a sword-type warrior and she jumps towards the gargoyle to attack it. The gargoyle hurls her back and she notices a wound on its abdomen which was inflicted by Kaval. It makes her recall that Kaval had advised her to always target the fatal attack points and that she should mainly target the heart of the enemy. Shindu rushes to attack its heart, but the gargoyle cuts off her arm and smashes her shield. She then jumps on his head and brings the sword down to stab his heart. Yusuk remembers that his classmates once ran away when they all faced a bear in the forest, but he didn't get injured, and he thinks about the purpose of his life. He tells himself that he is the leader of the group, and just then, he rushes into the open space where Shindu has taken care of the gargoyle. He runs and jumps into the water to save Kaval instead. Later Kaval wakes up with a sealed wound and she gets told that Yusuk kept healing her wound over and over by getting healing powers from the blood of the cave monsters, after which he passed out. She shuts his eyes and even kisses him on the lips, which the other girls find out. She tells them that Yusuk reminds her of her own self, and she tells them how all the knights compete in her country, out of which only 100 knights emerge. She explains that her dad and brothers are all top knights while she is just a number 70 knight, due to which she is taking the expedition to improve herself. Yusuk then wakes up and tells the girls that they probably have to take any type of goods from any village to Radadorbo, but it could be a risk since the convicts could be referred to as goods too. They are not sure whether they should take the convicts to Radadorbo or normal simple goods, so they decide to split up to take both. Yusuk decides to travel with Yuka and Kaval to pursue the kingdom's men and to take revenge, while the rest of the members go to look for another cargo which may be heading to Radadorbo. Shindu's team progresses smoothly while Yusuk's team discusses that they should ambush Kamilto's group. Kaval tells the others that she saw Kamilto sending a letter to the kingdom in which he must have told them about trapping some foreigners in the cave, and she suspects that if they kill Kamilto's group in an ambush, the kingdom will come after them. They then discuss that they can force Kamilto's group to write a letter to the kingdom declaring that they are not the enemy, but they don't think that the idea will work. Yusuk gets an idea and soon their group catches up with Kamilto's group in the mountains. They stay some paces behind them to trail after them, and Yuka wonders whether Yusuk even knows that Kaval kissed him when he was asleep. Soon they approach Kamilto's group and tell them that the others have died, but they want to negotiate some terms with them. Yuka tells the group that Yusuk has actually converted into the Arderos religion and that he will be spreading the religion unless they hand over the heretics prisoners. He gives them the time to think till the morning and heads away. Later Kamilto's group wonders what they should do, and just then Yuka arrives to tell them that she doesn't get along with Yusuk, due to which she wants them to get rid of him by keeping him in some kind of hole or dungeon. One of the men stays behind to keep a watch on the heretics while two of them go with her to attack Yusuk, who is still asleep. They keep walking, and at one point Kamilto's group kills Yuka because they suspect she is lying. They then discover that Yusuk is nowhere to be found, so they take Yuka prisoner and head back, only to see that Yusuk is setting everything on fire. He reveals that he was lying to them about converting his religion and that he just wants to take revenge by killing the heretics. He even sets one of them on fire in front of them along with a horse, and Yuka and Yusuk then make their escape, due to which the soldiers run after them. Some time ago, Yusuk had actually knocked out Kamilto's guard and had asked the heretics to help him out in his plan. In the present, they run away while the soldiers run after them in despair, and Yusuk theorizes that they will report back to their kingdom that Kaval's party has died while the hero party has taken revenge on them. Shindu's group fails to find any merchant who is taking goods to Radadorbo, and meanwhile Yusuk and Yuka meet up with the heretics at a cave. They even meet the kid they saved called Belalai, who thanks Yuka for saving his life. Some time ago Yusuk had actually included dolls to make the guards think that he was killing heretics, but he had also killed an actual Kamilto soldier to make the experience seem real to Kamilto. Yuka asks him whether he thinks he should be killing humans even if it's a game, so he gives her some lame logic about prioritizing survival. However, his rank soon gets demoted on killing the human. Kamilto returns to his wagon to discover that the bodies are gone, and he falls down in despair because he does not want to disappoint his king Diak. He sends a letter to his kingdom informing him of the latest development, and just then, Kaval attacks his group. She kills his comrade and then informs him that he was actually trapped by the hero's party. He rushes to wear his weapon so that they can fight equally, but she then proceeds to cut off his arms and legs. He declares that he just wanted to bring peace into the world, and she kills him by cutting his neck off. The king gets a report about Kamilto's group failure, and he refuses to send his soldiers to rescue them. His soldier reports to him that the hero party has also become the kingdom's enemy, so the king orders him to find ways to kill the heroes. Shindu's group arrives at a town, but they fail to find a merchant who is taking any goods to Radadorbo. Meanwhile, Yusuke has an idea to take some goods to Radadorbo and he loads his wagon with some boxes. Yuka decides to drive the horses instead of Yusuke and she notices that Kaval seems deep in thought, which makes her wonder whether she wants Yusuke's meat. They make a stop and Kaval tries to talk to Yusuke about something, but she stops when she sees Belalai, which makes Yuka think that maybe she was about to confess to him. She decides to help Kaval out so that she can finally get that meat, and as a part of her plan, she firstly makes Kaval switch back to the wagon to make her spend time alone with Yusuke. However, Kaval and Yusuke just fall asleep because they were up all night. Next they take a break and Yusuke starts to cook, so Yuka decides to group them together to make them both spend more time together. She then sees that Kaval has already brought a huge pig which she hunted herself and Yusuke proceeds to cook it up. Her plan fails, but she doesn't give up as she asks Yusuke to train with Kaval as they both have less time together with each other. They both begin training and Kaval then switches to Yuka to train her useless self. Her plan fails again and the group resumes their travel. Meanwhile, Shindu's group decides to wait at the road for a delivering company who must be transporting some kind of cargo, and they come across a cart which is going to Radadorbo. They decide to escort it, but one of the guys attacks Shindu and she beats him up. Yusuke's group stops for the night and Kaval finally gets an opportunity to talk to Yusuke. She tells him that she is very thankful to him for letting her avenge her team and that she has been waiting for a long time to say this to him. She then heads to sleep while Yuka, who was eavesdropping all along, wonders why she wasted so much effort. The delivery company allows Shindu's group to transport some of the cargo in their wagon and they head to Radadorbo. In the meanwhile, Yusuke's group arrives at Radadorbo and they deliver the heretics to a church, but their mission doesn't get cleared. They then sell off some goods, but still their mission doesn't get cleared, so Yusuke hands over the severed heads of Kingdom Diak soldiers to the official soldiers in Radadorbo. Their mission surprisingly gets cleared and they then meet with Shindu's group. After successfully completing the first part of their quest, the party heads out in different directions to fulfill the second condition of traversing 5% of the map with only a day left. Yusuke assumes that it will be very easy, but it suddenly starts snowing and Kaval gets a report that a huge blizzard is on the way. She recalls how she said goodbye to Yusuke and failed to confess despite kissing him, but she considers it a momentary slip-up. Meanwhile, on Yusuke's side, the weather starts getting worse, so he puts on warmer clothes, but it does not help as the blizzard gets stronger. He recalls how he cannot revive if he freezes in the blizzard, as players need a survivable surrounding to revive, so he starts doing knee lifts to keep his body warm. On Yuka's side, she sits down to rest, but she sees that the others are still moving despite the weather, so she starts walking again. Hakazaki takes cover behind her shield while walking and recalls how she was able to help someone for the first time in her life after coming to this world, so she refuses to rest for a bit. Shindu, the loser wizard, thinks about how she lost all her strength when she first came to this world and how she faced many hardships but managed to pull through them all. Things take a turn for the dark when Hakazaki finally collapses due to the cold and Yusuke gets extremely tired due to the knee lifts, but he still continues to move. The other two stop moving due to the extreme cold and Yusuke encounters a one-eyed Yeti in the blizzard. Yusuke faces off against the Yeti and finally manages to defeat it after a while, but he feels sad when he sees the Yeti's babies. He continues to move after thinking about how it is just a virtual world, and he reminds himself how they will all die if they fail this quest. He looks at the map and sees that the girls have yet to move with only 5 hours left, so he realizes that everything depends on him. He continues to walk while thinking about how he will go to any length to make sure they don't die due to failure of the quest, and he begins to question why they were chosen to go through this hardship. He stomps the ground out of anger, but the snow beneath him suddenly breaks and he starts falling into a dark pit while thinking about how they will all die for real if he does not survive the fall. Meanwhile, on the other side, Yuka recalls her favorite cartoon, The Majiha Girls, in which the female lead never gives up, and Yuka thinks about how is not like the female lead because she always hangs out with people stronger than her to stay out of harm's way. She recalls how she reconciled with the girls who were bullying her by making Yusuke their common enemy just so they don't bully her again, which is not something the female lead would ever do. Yusuke, on the other hand, gets revived again as the cave he had fallen into was warmer than the outside, and he realizes that he has stepped inside a secret dungeon. He suddenly notices that Hakazaki has also died and cannot revive again. Shindu sees it too and she starts walking again as the blizzard eases down a bit, but she accidentally starts walking on a thinly frozen lake. The ice begins to crack and she falls into the frozen lake where she cannot revive again either. Yusuke tries to move faster, but he keeps running into dead ends until he encounters a worm who digs the way for him. He crawls through the tunnel dug by the worm, but another worm appears from behind and ends up eating him. Yuka sees that Yusuke has also died and is unable to revive, which leaves the responsibility to complete all up to her. She falls down on her knees in despair and her crack head side starts coming out as she feels relieved that no one can blame her now cause the others died before her. She gives up and waits for the quest to end so they can all die, but she suddenly starts hallucinating. She imagines herself as the female lead from her favorite cartoon, and the second female lead gives her a motivational speech which makes her recall how the female lead never gave up. She gets fired up and unleashes a fire spell in the middle of nowhere for no reason because the glasses did not make her smart. She starts walking again while hallucinating about a pretty boy calling her and the female leads encouraging her from behind. She almost loses consciousness, but a woman riding a large cat suddenly calls her out. The woman recognizes Yuka as a player and offers to give her a ride, so Yuka gets up on the cat. The cat starts running and the woman asks Yuka which direction she wants to go, so she looks at the map but realizes that only 3 minutes are left. She assumes that they cannot succeed, but the woman uses wind magic to launch them into the air at high speed, and they manage to succeed at the last second. The quest ends and the other 3 party members get revived right before the game master appears. He offers Yuka a question as a reward for completing the quest, so she asks him if they are in a virtual reality world. The game master reveals that they are in a real parallel world that branched off from the original Earth 4 billion years ago, and everything is as real as it gets, but they are the virtual beings that were brought into this world. That's why they can revive. Yusuke realizes that he has actually killed a human by killing the army soldier, and he feels sick thinking about it. He returns to the actual world and thinks about how he wanted everyone to die, but now that he has killed one human he feels like crap. They all head back to their normal lives where they all have increased stamina all of a sudden, and Yusuke superbly plays basketball with his teammates while Yuka also has increased stamina despite her sickness. Shindu wonders why Yusuke looks constipated, and Yuka tells him about Yusuke having actually killed a human in the game. They both discuss the details via messages, and meanwhile, Yusuke goes about his normal routine like usual. He tells himself that he hates the city, and he suddenly gets a message from the game master asking him about his honest feelings since he has killed a human. He deletes the message and returns home, where he wonders whether the master had actually designed the game to make him kill someone. Suddenly a girl appears in his room and asks him why he hasn't replied to her message. She turns out to be the game master, and she asks him about his feelings again, so he tells her that he wouldn't have killed the person if he knew he was an actual human. He explains that Kingdom Diak soldiers were all evil, and even though they believed they were right, still he wouldn't have killed them. The game master then asks him to meet the new player, and she then takes him to a Chinese restaurant where they order some food. Suddenly she points out a SUS-looking person who is an ex-drug dealer, and she explains that the next new player named Keita will enter the restaurant in a few seconds to kill the drug dealer. She goes on to say that Keita's younger brother Shuji is also involved in the plot, and just then a group of dudes barge in the restaurant. Yusuke can't figure out who Keita is, so he trips one of them and blocks the other one from attacking him. He throws the dumpling pot on one of the guys and kicks the other one into oblivion. One of the thugs runs towards him, so he takes off his mask and it turns out to be Keita himself. Yusuke tells him to take his brother and to run away before the police arrive, so Keita starts whining about how he needs to kill the guy. Suddenly the big boss of the thugs shows up and he holds Yusuke at gunpoint. The game master pops up out of nowhere and offers a magical glove to Yusuke. He takes it instantly and smashes the thug's face with it, which knocks him out. The police begin to arrive, so Yusuke tells Keita and his brother to make a run for it before running away himself. The thug boss attempts to shoot at him, but Keita kicks his gun away and taunts him about shooting a kid. The brothers run away, and later the game master meets up with Yusuke again. He tells the game master that he has realized that Keita will increase their chances of success in the next quest, similar to how Yuka helped them win the last quest, but he doesn't say anything about saving his life. He instead yaps about how all humans, including Keita, are worthless snobs who deserve to die, and that he knows he has a wrong ideology, but he is always going to live by his idea of justice. A few days prior to this, Keita's mother comes home drunk and a loan shark visits them after a while. He beats Keita's mother for not giving enough money to cover the interest, and Keita almost lashes out, but his brother holds him back. The loan shark offers the brothers a job to repay their debt and sends them to beat a traitor from his organization, where they encounter Yusuke. In the present, a week goes by and the group continues with their usual lives. Yusuke thinks about how Shindu and Hakazaki are both strong in their own ways, which could be the reason behind why they were chosen. He tells everyone in the group chat that he met their 5th party member and that he seems like a scum, so they start throwing questions at him. They all get summoned to the parallel world, where they find Keita in the lake just like how Yusuke first arrived. They go to him and the girls get shocked when they see his outfit because his drip was shit. The game master suddenly appears behind Keita, which shocks him and reveals that their next quest is to offer a Jiffin buffo at Victomania. The group learns that the revival time has been increased to 50 seconds and they can now teleport to a location once a day that they have previously been to. The game master spins the job wheel and Keita gets the spear masterclass, but the group does not pay any attention to him as they discuss how they should teleport to Kaval first. Keita gets angry and grabs Yusuke by the collar while demanding an explanation about everything, so Shindu briefly explains everything to him like the perfect mommy. Keita gets hyped up but demands to battle against Yusuke first before teleporting, so Yusuke unwillingly agrees. He uses his glove to pin Keita down, but Keita counterattacks at the last moment and kicks the fallen Yusuke for no reason to declare his victory. They all teleport to Cordonal, where they encounter Kaval, who reveals that it has been 15 years since she last met them. They all get surprised when they see 2 kids latching to Kaval, and they learn that she has become a mother. They go to her house, where Kaval informs them that Jiffin is actually an island, and she shows them that she lost her hand before revealing that she quit being a knight. She reveals that the Kingdom of Diak tried to unify the continent 15 years ago, which led to a major war which was like hell, but she quit after having children. The girls try to console her while Yusuk thinks about how Kaval has progressed a lot in her life. Keita tells them all about how he raised his little brother all alone too, and he took revenge on Yusuk for hitting his little brother before when they met at the restaurant. He thanks Yusuk for helping them out at that time, and at night, Yusuk thinks about how everyone is strong in their own ways unlike him. Kaval opens the door and takes Yusuk to watch the sunrise, where she grabs his hands, but it seems like she is forgetting that she already has kids. The cheating woman learns that the girls never told him about what happened in the carriage, so she kisses Yusuk again, who is having the greatest day of his life, and she tells him that she loved him. The girls watch the situation while hiding and decide to leave, but Hakazaki encounters a kid she had saved many years ago from the troll, which makes her emotional too. The party soon heads to Jiffin Island, where they learn from two girls named Yana and Aoiu that Victomania is a festival where the islanders offer the Jiffin Buffo, but the festival will not be held this year. The girls further reveal that orcs have overtaken the island and the islanders are forced to give them all the Jiffin Buffos as food so the orcs don't eat humans. They ask the group to help them kill the orc queen during the festival that is in 11 days, as they are running out of Jiffin Buffaloes, but a snitch reports this whole talk to the orc queen. The hero party gets introduced as mercenaries to some of the islanders, and one guy named Cantil tells them that he has also battled orcs before. He tells them that they can only beat orcs through long-ranged attacks, as orcs can kill a person with their strong fists in one go, and he qualifies Keita and Shindu to fight the orcs only. Yusuk feels eager to participate in the battle, so he runs off to gain more experience points, and Yana and Aoiu tell him that there are no other monsters beside orcs. He decides to start farming to gain experience points to rank up, and he tells the girls that his grandparents used to be farmers, so he has quite some knowledge. An earthquake suddenly happens which shakes all the fruits from the tree, and the girls tell him that buffalo dung used to be used as fertilizer, but in the absence of dung, the plants get less nutrients. Yusuk gets the genius idea of using seaweed and seashells as fertilizers, and he shows the girls how to make fertilizer based on seaweed. They discuss how only virgin girls can perform their role in the society, and that they would have gotten married if they had any replacement. They then tell Yusuk that all the younger girls were mostly eaten by the orcs, due to which they have to play their current role. Yusuk makes food for everyone and then goes to make fertilizer by putting it in a steam room and using his own magic to speed up its growth. Once the fertilizer is done, he puts it in the pants, and he wonders whether there's any music he can listen to in the meanwhile. The girls reveal to him that they can also play a folk song, and they proceed to sing an outlandish song that sounds like a cheap idol song. The others continue practicing with the mercenaries along with a number of locals. Soon the locals start complaining about practicing too hard, and the mercenaries remind them that the orcs will kill them if they don't kill them first. The locals keep fighting with them because they think only mercenaries should fight with the orcs, as they have been paid with money. They all suddenly spot an orc spying on them, so they rush to tackle it. The orc kills Shindu and Keita immediately, while Cantil expertly takes him on and inflicts him with damage. The mercenaries kill the orc, and the locals discuss that there must be a traitor within them who has leaked their plans to the orcs. They even start blaming Yana and Aoiu for bringing the mercenaries into Jiffin Island, and one of the mercenaries stops them. The mercenary called Thanza turns out to be a local person who had run away from the island when he was a kid, and he reminds the others to think about their ancestors who wanted freedom and peace. The girls also lecture them about culture and freedom, so the villagers become motivated again to fight orcs. One of the villagers reports back to the castle that the orc has been killed, due to which the other orcs whine a lot and decide to take revenge. Yusuk finally gets promoted to level 10, after which the game master reveals his next category, and it turns out to be a blacksmith, which is another rare category. He realizes that blacksmiths can actually make weapons which can be used by everyone, so he becomes an apprentice of a local blacksmith and starts learning how to make weapons. He finally makes a weapon which is a combo between an axe and a stake that can take out orcs, and he tells everyone that he will definitely make weapons for them to help them stay alive. Later he discusses with Hakazaki that he prioritizes the life of the powerful team members over weak ones, and Cantil tells him that he once used to be a general who led his army to failure, but he won't lose his battle against the orcs now. Suddenly someone comes to tell them that the orcs have attacked their harbor. Some time ago everyone gather and tell the best memories of their lives to the others. One of the mercenaries named Rice shares with the others that he wanted to join Cantil's wrong, but he and his friend were practically useless, due to which they were in reserve squad. Soon their army fell to the serfs and their group ran away, but one by one the serfs hunted them down and killed them. He tells the others that spending the time with his friends made it the best time of his life. In the present, 3 orcs attack the mercenaries and kill Thanza and the 2 men. Soon Shindu and Keita get obliterated by them as well, and the orcs then approach Cantil, but just then, Yusuk throws an arrow at him from a distance through a weapon that he made himself. The arrow takes one of the orcs down, but the rest of them still head to kill Cantil, and Rice rushes towards them to distract them. He falls on his face in front of them like an idiot, so they start walking towards him, and he lures them to a side where Yusuk shoots another one of them. The arrow damages the ugly-looking orc, and they both retreat for a while, so the mercenaries and the hero party regroups to strategize further. They take the wounded to Vikidam Cave, and the others head back to their posts. Yusuk hands over his weapon to Yuka, and meanwhile he and Rice decide to act as decoys for the orcs so that she can shoot them with arrows. The orcs head towards them, so Rice and Yusuk split them up, and Yuka shoots at one of them. She reaches level 10 and gets an upgrade to the hunter category, which hypes her up a lot. They all continue battling with the orcs and soon they are able to take a number of orcs down. Yusuk decides to take on one of the orcs face to face, so he heads down and attacks him with his axe hammer. The orc kills him on the spot and he then proceeds to make a boulder out of the mud which he throws at the mercenaries. Soon other orcs also start throwing boulders which destroy the homes and huts of the mercenaries. Yuka shoots an arrow at one of them, so the orc throws a boulder at her and he manages to break the fortified wall. He then approaches the chicks, but Rice jumps at them from behind and tries stopping them. He gets butchered instantly and Yusuk jumps on the orc right after getting resurrected. He takes him down while Yuka and Hakazaki take another orc down. They all gather around Rice, who tells them that he fought for the first time but he lost because he is weak, and everyone starts crying because he was always the most cheerful of them. The other village gets a report that 9 villagers and Rice have died, so they send Keita over to help them out. Keita helps take down an orc along with the other hero party members, and they all discuss that they should head to the blacksmith to get some arrows, after which they should go to the Vikdam caves where Yana and Aoiu are present with the wounded. 2 orcs start approaching the other village while Shindu and Cantil head to the beach where they discover the orc queen. She tells them that she will kill their children just like they killed her children. The hero party reaches the blacksmith, where the blacksmith tells Yusuk that he can become the blacksmith around if he trains for 2 more years, but Yusuk tells him that he is not interested. The orc queen thinks about how humans are worthless plebs who only think about battle, and she attacks both of them. Cantil and Shindu team together to land attacks on her, and Cantil manages to strike her back while Shindu is also able to hit her. The heroes group arrives at the other village, which was attacked by 2 orcs, only to discover that their leading mercenary has been killed too. They grieve over him and a girl reveals that one of the orcs has been killed while the other one ran away, due to which Thanza ran after him. The whole group heads to the blacksmith, where they discuss that the blacksmith's arrows cannot be used by the hero party itself since they all have their own special weapons, but the other villagers can use them. Some of the villagers decide to stay at the blacksmith's shop because they like Hakazaki's cakes, while the rest of them head to the Vikdam cave. The orc queen searches for Cantil and Shindu while the both of them hide behind a house to enact their plan. Yusuk's group arrives at the orcs' castle, where Keita yells at everyone to launch a direct attack and everyone runs forward. Shindu and Cantil are about to launch their attack when suddenly the island starts shaking and everyone notices that the Jiffin Island volcano is starting to erupt. Thanza takes this opportunity to take down one of the orcs, and at the same time, the locals start taking out the wounded people from Vikdam cave due to the rough earthquake. Suddenly, Aoiu rushes inside to help out a wounded person and the ceiling collapses on her. A villager pulls back Yana from going onside, but he also gets hit by the volcanic bombs which start to fall everywhere. Keita dies due to a volcanic bomb collision and the orc queen attacks Shindu. She then grabs her and throws her into the sea, instantly killing her. Shindu realizes that she cannot be resurrected inside the ocean, but to her horror the water starts receding, indicating that a tsunami is coming. The villagers continue to get killed by the volcanic bombs while Aoiu manages to survive thanks to a secret cave. She leads some villagers out into a castle where she meets up with Yusuk's group, and he asks her whether the castle has any weak point that they can use to bring the whole castle down. He explains that it's the only way to kill the orcs, and Aoiu argues with him that the castle is the island's legacy which can never be put down. He stops listening to her whining and decides to find another spot to take advantage of the whole situation, which makes the others think that he is just a machine who wants to achieve its goal. Both Aoiu and Yana keep whining about the fact that they have let the island down, but they still want to protect it against natural disasters. Suddenly the volcano erupts with full force and a monster emerges from it. The orc queen thinks about how she was enslaved long ago, but after becoming free she decided never to let anyone take her family. Yusuk spots a dragon flying over the island, but he ignores it and instead informs the others about the location of orcs. He then forms a plan according to which they go to the 2nd floor and lure the orcs to a thin corridor. Keita throws his long spear at them, which fails to reach them, and they don't follow the boys outside. They then follow another strategy in which the locals lure the orcs towards them while Yusuk and Keita launch a surprise attack on them. The orcs still remain more powerful as one of them attacks and kills Yusuk while the other one simply smashes Keita on the wall as if he is a pesky bug. Yusuk also notices a small orc child at one of the orcs' backs, and Aoiu tells him that the child must be the next queen which the orcs are protecting. She explains that the child can be the queen or a female who can reproduce 100 more orcs in one go, and she also reveals that she knows how to speak one phrase in orcs' language, so Yusuk tells her to say it to the orcs. The orc queen arrives at the ship which was taking away the children of the Jiffin Island, and she thinks that she is going to take the ship back to let her own children escape. Suddenly, Thanza boards the ship and challenges her. Yusuk and the others launch their next plan, in which Aoiu calls the orcs in their language, which distracts them, and the others rush at them with a lava bucket. Keita manages to kill one of them by thrusting a spear in head, while Yusuk flips the lava bucket at the other one, which causes him immense damage. Yusuk then runs away after abducting the orc girl. Yana realizes that the villagers' life force is being drained by the monster dragon hovering above them. Meanwhile, the orc queen attacks Thanza when a wave crashes against the ship and manages to steal his sword. She is about to barbecue him when suddenly Shindu arrives at the scene and declares that heroes don't die. She manages to land an attack on the orc's body, so she decides to keep her distance and attack swiftly. The blacksmith collapses on the ground, so Hakazaki starts to drag him upwards to get some wind in his system. Just then, Yuka yells at her that she has recovered a bullet from an orc's body and she throws it at Hakazaki. She then dies when the lava runs over her, leaving Hakazaki with the blacksmith. Shindu lands a few hits on the orc's body, but the orc queen slices her body in half and kills her. She is about to finish Thanza off next when Hakazaki pierces her with the arrow that Yuka had given her. The orc queen loses consciousness and Thanza then finishes her off. She remembers her children as she falls into the ocean. Meanwhile, the ship heads straight to the lava and Thanza jumps into the water to stop it with his manly brute force. The orc chases after Yusuk, who throws the orc girl into the lava, and the orc barely manages to catch her. He discovers that the girl has already been stabbed by Yusuk, and Yusuk then pushes him off the ledge into the lava, due to which both the orc and the little orc girl die in pain. He then returns to his group, where Aoiu tells him about how the orc queen originally came to the island through a ship which had imprisoned her. She managed to escape, but nobody was found on the ship, and they discuss that maybe some enemy nation sent the orc to take over the island. Thanza recalls the time he left the island to explore the world because he hated the island for being so closed off, but he learned that people were fighting around the world to achieve a peace just like the one on Jiffin Island. He single-handedly pushes the ship away from the lava while getting burned to protect the same people he had left behind. Keita and Yusuk walk towards the mouth of the volcano, and they encounter an islander named Raji who tells them that he was inspecting the land. They continue walking after advising him to return to the ship, and they finally reach the dragon, but it instantly kills Keita. Yusuk runs away at full speed while wondering why the dragon is not chasing them, and he realizes that it is absorbing the life force of the islanders to recover. He decides to send the islanders as far away as possible to stop the dragon's recovery, and he grabs Raji while running towards the ship. Raji assumes that Yusuk has figured out his real identity, and he ends up revealing that he is the dragon bishop who summoned the dragon. Yusuk gets shocked by the sudden revelation, and Raji gets shocked that he just exposed himself. Raji launches a magic attack which instantly kills Yusuk, so he decides to fight Raji from afar. Keita tries to launch a sneak attack, but it also fails, and the two idiots end up dying again. Raji rushes to kill Aoiu and Yana, but he misses the first shot, which allows Aoiu to escape, but she gets extremely shocked that Raji has betrayed them. She recalls that he was the one who decided to set up the houses at the place where the volcano flowed from, which makes her realize that he has been planning everything for a long time. She starts having an emotional breakdown at the face of death, but Yusuk saves her at the last moment before running away with her. He suddenly pulls her close, which makes the dumb, desperate girl think that he is about to kiss her, so she leans forward, but he brings her back to reality. He tells her a plan, and they simultaneously use the glove given by the game master, which amplifies its powers. Raji gets stuck for a moment, so Keita uses the chance to land a strike, but it is not fatal. Raji runs away on a winged creature but accidentally drops a bottle of liquid, and Keita recognizes the color. He takes them to the same place where they first encountered Raji, and they find a magic circle embedded on a stone which tells them that Raji was trying to hide it. They destroy the circle, and Yana notices a decrease in the rate of absorption, which helps her find the second circle too. She explains that 4 more such circles exist, but she does not know the location, so the mercenary suddenly takes out a map. He marks all the possible locations, which helps them destroy all the circles, and the dragon goes back into the volcano after that. After some emotional time for the dead people, they hold the Victomania festival to complete the quest, and Aoiu confesses that she would have married Yusuk if he was from their world, which leaves Yusuk in shock. Meanwhile, Cantil drifts in the middle of the sea when he sees Raji get shot down by the same magician that helped Yuka during the 4th quest, and he calls her the great sorceress Fatina. The party returns to the original world after Keita asks a dumb question, and Yusuk goes back to his hometown, where the game master tells him that he will soon meet their next teammate. Yusuk gets called out by his friends, and he sees an unfamiliar face with them. The girl introduces herself as Glenda and reveals that she was sent by a white girl to judge Yusuk, who realizes that the game master sent her. They go back to his house, where she reveals that she knows 4 other people, including Yuka, who claim that they have been to the other world, and that they all describe the other world in the exact same way despite being from different countries. Yusuk realizes that people other than them have also been summoned to the other world, and Glenda reveals that one of the other people died due to a heart failure after leaving behind a message that she cleared the 4th round, while the other 2 players are not responding as they must have died too. Glenda proposes that they should also upload videos online to gather more such players, so Yusuk calls Shindu and Hakazaki. They decide to recreate a scene from the other world, and Shindu tells Yusuk to talk to them the same way he talks to his childhood friends as a payment for helping him make the video. They upload the video after a while, and a person comments that he experienced the same situation in a different world. The group gets summoned again, and Glenda joins them, this time as an axe warrior. The game master reveals 2 options for their next quest, which is to reduce the addiction of Rainbow Stare to less than 3% in the Kingdom of Goldia in 90 days, or to save the village of Zagroth in 30 days. Keita impulsively chooses to save the village of Zagroth, so the party decides to meet Kaval again to gain information. They go to Courtnall, where they encounter Kaval's daughter, who looks just like the young Kaval, and she reveals that Kaval died a few years ago. Kaval's daughter tells them the way to Zagroth, and Yusuk recalls the moments he spent with Kaval on the way. The group reaches a dense forest where they encounter a goblin, and Keita, being an attention seeker, jumps ahead to attack it, but he gets killed in a single strike. They all attack the goblin but have a hard time defeating it until Glenda beheads it. They wonder why the goblin was so strong, and Glenda notices someone looking at them, so she follows the figure. Hakazaki follows after her while the rest of the group splits up to find the person too. Glenda and Hakazaki find a small girl inside a house named Jesby, who tells them that she ran away because she thought they were from the village. The girl points to the top of a mountain and reveals that the Zagroth village is located on top of it. The next day, the group encounters a humanoid monster who turns out to be Jesby's father. Jesby tries to approach him, but Yusuk stops her and reveals that he learned from the players he met online about a monster called the Wireworm that controls a person's brain. He explains that the only way to kill it is to burn it along with the host, otherwise a pandemic occurs, but Jesby is against it. Yusuk tries to explain that her father is already dead while the Wireworm kills Hakazaki, who is as useless as a cucumber. Yusuk manages to cut it in half and makes Yuka burn it along with the body of Jesby's father to prevent a likely pandemic. Jesby faints after seeing her father getting burned, but soon leads the group towards the Zagroth village after recovering from the shock. She takes them through a secret passageway and explains that the village chief forcefully sends out a few people every year to search for a safer place to live as the monsters are getting stronger, and that her father was one of those people. She explains that she left the village to ask her father to come back, but he disappeared after leaving to talk to the village chief, and that she ran away when she first saw them because she thought the village chief sent people to punish her for running away. She explains that she must return to the village now despite the risk of getting killed because she wants to inform her brother and mother about their father's death. They finally reach the village and encounter Jesby's childhood friend named Frock, who reveals that her mother died 2 days ago. He brings her younger brother named Lanan, but he refuses to speak, and Yusuk and Glenda encounter the village chief's granddaughter named Iris. She takes them to meet the village chief named Cox, who portrays Zagroth as the image of peace despite it being in danger against the strong monsters, so Yusuk reveals that they know about the monster. Cox reveals that they have a plan against the monsters and takes them underground to show it to them, but he locks them inside a cell instead. Cox goes to the house where the rest of the party is and invites the whole party to a meal. He instructs his soldiers to capture Jesby when the heroes leave and makes the party walk across a bridge. He destroys the bridge halfway and leaves all the heroes hanging while explaining that below them is bottomless water that they will never be able to escape from. Shindu uses wind magic to knock Cox out, and they all survive thanks to her. The villagers tie Jesby up to take her to Cox, while Frock tells his family that he intends to save her and that he doesn't mind if he gets thrown out of the village because of her. The hero party also takes Cox to his house, where they see many people gathered who have come to ask the chief about a monster's roar that they have just heard. The people see that Cox is tied up by the hero party, and Cox tells them that the hero party has captured him because he wants to take Zagroth away from him. Some villagers also bring Jesby, and suddenly Frock rushes into the scene. He tackles the people holding Jesby, and Cox tells the villagers to capture him as well. Frock's mother arrives and yells at the others for kicking his child around. Meanwhile, they all keep hearing the monster's roar, which makes them nervous, and Cox declares that Jesby has brought disaster into the village, due to which they need to get rid of her. The soldiers start struggling with Frock and his mother, which triggers Keita, so he rushes towards them and starts beating up the villagers. His own mommy issues come to the surface, and he tells Cox to let Yusuk and Glenda go, otherwise he will kill him. He then knocks out his teeth just to vent his anger, and later Iris tells the hero party that she has thrown the key to Yusuk's dungeon into a well which they can never recover. Frock also tells Jesby to go back with his mom, and just a huge monster appears behind the village along with many other small monsters. Suddenly, Glenda and Yusuk burst through the floor as well, and they see that the monsters will probably reach the village in about 10 minutes. Yusuk wonders whether they have to stop the monsters as a part of their mission, and he thinks of escaping through the well, which may lead into the limestone cave that's underneath the village. Hakazaki volunteers to be the sacrificial cow, and she jumps into the well to test out its depth. She lands into the cave and dies, but it gives the heroes an idea that they can escape through the cave. They start to build some kind of long extension through which they can climb down, and they see that the villagers are getting wiped out one by the monsters' attacks. Jesby and Lanan manage to survive, although Frock's mom gets attacked by the monsters, and soon Iris and Cox start climbing down the well. Iris falls down, but Hakazaki catches her, and Yusuk tells Glenda and Keita to climb down first. Suddenly the monsters start to head towards the well, and the remaining heroes decide to die by jumping into the well so that they can get resurrected in the cave. Yuka and Keita go ahead first, while Yusuk wonders who is controlling the monsters. The monsters attack him, and he jumps down the well at the last second. Later the whole group travels along the cave and comes out from the other side of the village. They decide to keep traveling, but they see that there's a well-built path along a lake, so some of the members decide to investigate it. Yusuk and Glenda discover a well-hidden settlement that seems devoid of people, but suddenly they hear something. Meanwhile, a group of goblins prepare to attack the other group as well. Yusuk and Glenda come across a group of people who come looking for them. Meanwhile, Cox tells the others that he had to throw out Jesby's father because the village didn't have enough crops to feed everyone, and just then, the goblins attack them. Keita eagerly starts fighting them while Shindo and Hakazaki team up together to fight them. Keita tells Yuka to help the villagers escape, so she runs away with them while Shindu gets a rank promotion all of a sudden, due to which she gets the category of Elite Sword Warrior. She attacks the goblins ruthlessly, which makes Keita wonder why she is ahead of him. Yuka comes across a goblin, so she attacks him and Glenda then takes it down. Some other lost villagers come forward and Dan, who is Frock's brother, also unites with him. The villagers reveal that all of them who had been sent away by Cox group together to form a settlement near the village, and they all gather together. Later, one of the villagers cooks food for them while Iris keeps acting like a brat because her grandfather was previously the village chief. The villagers discuss how Dan helps them hunt for food and Yusuk tells them that the monsters will soon attack them, so they should flee. The villagers wonder whether they should look for New Eden, which is a legend passed down the generations, and Cox reveals that a person can only go to New Eden if he chooses to die himself. They all come to the conclusion that Cox was deceiving the villagers by sending them away from the village to look for New Eden, but Jesby thinks that New Eden is real since her parents used to talk about it. Yusuk convinces the others to look for a new settlement, and late at night they all hear the monsters roar, which they heard before the monsters attacked Zagroff. The next day, they begin their journey to look for a new settlement, but soon the old villagers become tired, so the group takes a break. Later, the hero party decides to attack the goblin settlement to get rid of them once and for all, and a few of them approach the settlement. They attack a sleeping goblin, but the goblins in return launch their own sneaky attack on them. Hakazaki tells Glenda about the Jiffin Island quest, and in return she shares her own sob story in which her dad went to the army and came back with PTSD. He then started telling her to be grateful to him, and she told him that she likes women. As a result, he even put a rifle on her head. She then ran away from him and started traveling everywhere in the world. They all discover Cox's dead body by the lake, and they notice that somebody has struck him in the heart. Yusuk's group kills the goblins while some of them manage to run away. The other villagers get informed about Cox, and they try to convince the heroes that they are not behind the chief's killing. The heroes then take the villagers to the goblin settlement, which is well established, and Yusuk makes Yuka and Shindu try out their magic in the settlement. They notice that their powers aren't depleting like usual, which seems weird to them. Glenda gathers everyone and shares that the cook Jaka is the killer since he was the only one with a sharp weapon. Jaka admits to his foolery and they tie him up. Later, the heroes wonder whether they should leave Jaka behind, and they see Iris going into his hut. Keita rushes after her, only to discover that a brain-eating monster has taken over her as well. Iris attacks Keita and he pushes her back as the others rush inside. Yusuk decides to take care of her, but Keita slices her head off just then. Later, they burn her body and Yusuk wonders when the wireworm infected Iris, even though she was with them the whole time. The villagers start to report that they are feeling tired for unknown reasons, and the heroes discuss whether someone is performing the dragon ritual just like Jiffin Island. Shindu tries cheering up Keita, who is feeling down because of killing Iris, and she even thinks they should all go to the beach once their mission is over. Jesby shares with the others that she remembered that the New Eden was past the forest at the east side, and Yusuk wonders whether they should believe her, but just then, a group of goblins attacks them. Some of them run away with the villagers while Yusuk and some heroes take on the monsters. Yusuk ends up dying, and meanwhile some goblins even chase after the villagers. Frock's brother Lanen ends up falling in a ditch, so Yuka helps him out while Hakazaki kills one of the goblins. The heroes get rid of the remaining goblins, but suddenly a troll attacks them and kills Shindu plus Hakazaki. Cantil arrives out of nowhere and drives him away with his magic. He tells everyone later on that Fatina saved him and she has been training him in sorcery. He reveals that dragon bishops are aiming to resurrect dragons throughout the world, and that the dragons will finish humanity if they return, due to which he and Fatina are going on missions to get rid of them. He goes on to spill that he has come to Zagroff to get rid of a dragon bishop, and that a meteorite has also fallen recently in this area, which is boosting the monster's powers. The group decides to seal the meteorite powers by planting specific seeds near it, and later Yusuk uses magic to grow the same plants near the meteorite. Cantil reveals that they beat another dragon bishop 3 years ago in Kingdom Diak, and Yusuk wonders whether the blood ritual is still continuing in their area because there are people in the New Eden. Later, the group splits up to find the troll and to look for more dragon circles. Yusuk's group finds the troll and attacks it, but both Keita and Yuka end up dying like the useless good-for-nothing fools they are. The troll is then about to kill Yusuk as well, but Keita gets resurrected and lands the finishing blow. They take out Shindu and Hakazaki from inside of the troll, and they all spot another meteorite piece near them. Yusuk thinks that the New Eden must be above the waterfall near the meteorite, and he then gets an idea. Frock wakes up to discover that Lanen has recovered and that he can speak now, but Lanen tells him that he doesn't remember anything after their mom's death. Yusuk grows a beanstalk with the help of the magical seeds they had, and they all climb up only to find that there is nothing on the top of the waterfall. Yusuk then gets a genius idea and he jumps into the water. He gets swept up by the current and arrives at a fully established town underneath the mountain. The townspeople tell him that they have been living in peace for generations and that they have no connection to the outside. Lanen tells Frock that he doesn't recognize Jesby, and Jesby suddenly starts using magic to make him remember her. Glenda arrives and declares that Jesby was actually the dragon bishop all along. She explains that she was already sus of her when she saw Jesby walking in the forest which was filled with monsters, and that she is sure Jesby has used magic to ingrain fake memories of herself in the villager's mind. She also reveals that Jesby made the old villager men kill Cox, and Frock doesn't believe any of it, but Glenda attacks her. Jesby avoids her attacks and reveals her true dragon bishop self. She calls forth her flying wyvern and explains that she was looking for a place to perform a ritual all along when she sensed a lot of human energy by the waterfall, but she couldn't find anybody. She reveals that she also got information from the person who was Jesby's dad before infecting him with the monster when he got sus of her, and that she also let Frock's mother die. Cantil attacks her, but she flies away on her monster before calling him a third-rate sorcerer. Yusuk returns to his friends and informs them about the underground city. He thinks that he found the city too conveniently, and just then, Jesby arrives to thank him for discovering the city. The other heroes also arrive, and she then summons an army of monsters who begin to march towards the underground city. The heroes fight with them, and Cantil notices that there are 6 ugly-looking golems who are not moving, but they are standing at the corners. Jesby hits him with magic, and he tells the heroes that the ritual magic circles are on the golem bodies, so they need to defeat them. The monsters keep coming at them, so Yusuk decides to step up his Sigma game and he rushes to attack Jesby alone. He approaches her by using concealing his magic and then begins attacking her, but she erects a shield around her which blocks all the attacks. He tries everything and manages to scratch her slightly. She is then about to land the finishing blow on him when he lunges at her and pushes a seed into her scratch. He uses creature magic to let the seed grow, due to which the seed occupies all of her body, and he then pushes her body off the meteorite. The monsters stop moving and the heroes attack them furiously. They also finish off the golems which break the magic circle, and at the end the hero party wins again. Yusuk wakes up to discover that Jesby is still alive, but Hakazaki stops him from killing her with the power of her feminine tears. Glenda also advises him to let the locals decide her fate, and later Jesby bursts herself into flame, due to which she dies. Fatina arrives and destroys the meteorite. She tells Cantil that they have to destroy the other stones as well. Later the villagers unite with New Eden's people, and Yusuk asks the locals to rename the town to Zagroth. Glenda asks the game master how a dragon can appear on planet Earth, so he reveals that there is a small hole connecting both worlds which continues to widen and through which a dragon can travel to Earth. The hero party members continue their daily lives as usual in the real world. Later, the game master appears in Yusuk's balcony and he tells him that he has realized his actions are crucial to the other world, due to which he will make sure all quests are completed. Comment your thoughts below and make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more.